Mentally stable people of Reddit, what's your secret? Nice of you to inquire about the bots. Underrated comment. Yep, the joie monsieur. For me it is the release valve for a number of avenues in my life. Never allowing any single stressor to become too large can alleviate a myriad of issues. Like Benjamin Franklin said, don't put off until tomorrow what can be done today. How so you not allow a stressor become large? Care less about 90% of things, care more about the other 10%. Drink water, hot water, be kind, stop worrying, focus on what makes you smile, take every hindrance as something positive as everything can always be worse. I stubbed my toe. Sure it hurts, but it's not broken. If it's broken, well at least I don't have to cut it off. There is always a bigger picture. Also it takes so much energy being angry and worried. You can't change everything. But that doesn't mean you have to settle for something bad. You always have a choice. I mean there is a trillion different things to do to help your mental well-being. Say no to stuff. Say yes sometimes to stuff. Depends on the situation and who you are as a person. She is right, but I want to make it clear that getting there takes time. Letting go is not something you can achieve overnight, and even when you get there you'll still get caught up into negative things at times. But it takes time and practice, and you need to remind yourself regularly that it's okay. And letting go is not something you can achieve overnight, nope, but sleeping on it sure helps. Too many times I've been upset about something, trivial or important, gone to sleep, and woken up in a much better place the next day. I have my own. Don't take any narcotics, and stay away from drugs I'm not prescribed. Accept that life is what it is, and that I can either sit and complain about something I don't like, or I can push through and get it done with. Life happens whether you're prepared or not, and it is what you make of it. If you accept this and work hard to achieve what you want, then eventually you'll be in a better place. Bad things will happen, you just have to accept them and move on. If someone you love leaves you, or passes, then remember what you had and take time to look back at your relationship with them. Take time to grieve if necessary, but accept that they're not coming back. If you broke up with someone then it will hurt them just as much, but they will move on and you need to as well. If you've lost someone then remember them, grieve and cry, but push onwards and make them proud. It's okay to have mental illnesses and it doesn't make you any less of a person. There will be ways to help you cope and there will always be people there to help you. Like with your physical health, some things will need drugs to help you feel better, but other things just need time, just like a cut or a bruise. Have boundaries. When I learned how to say no, and when I learned how to walk away from people who weren't nice to me, my life just kinda improved almost instantly. IDK if you're into self-help at all, but a self-help person named Iyanla Vanzant said something in one of her lectures that always stuck with me. A lot of you have been taught to be loyal to people who aren't good to you. And that really does ring true for friendships, family, romantic relationships and even jobs. Once I literally stopped paying attention to people who weren't good to me, and focusing on those that did, my life became 100% better. Be a little headstrong and stubborn, but know which hill to die on and when to just let it slide. Don't do things you'll apologize for and only say sorry if you really mean it. Blame stupidity before malintent. Don't get mad. Always de-escalate, share, smile, banter. Talk, spin a yarn, and most importantly speak up when you think something's going to suck or you're apprehensive. A lot of the time people in a group won't speak up for fear of being a downer. Some of the most mediocre experiences of my life came from not speaking up. Then when I mention it everyone else said they were thinking it too but wanted to wait till someone else suggested it. You may get shot down or told to suck it up, but at least you mentioned it instead of just going along for the ride. I told someone to suck it up and she was 100% correct that something wasn't right and we shouldn't go forward. Got caught in a human gridlock for ignoring her. Life's not too complicated. Don't die. Eat, drink, sleep, try to acquire enough money to support those life habits. Do something that makes your body move cause it's designed to move. Be cool to people. That's about it. After that just have fun with it. And life's not too complicated. Simple doesn't mean easy. And try to have this is difficult. Get rid of toxic people in your life. no matter if they're family or friends, no matter how much you invested. And don't stay in that job that you hate for too long. Mentally stable people don't exist on Reddit. Yeah, what is this? Everyone on Reddit is depressed, nerdy, a guy, and single stereotype on this site. It's like the 5th most visited site in the US. There's a lot of us. Meditating has really helped me maintain a positive and calm outlook on the day. Even 5 to 10 minutes can really help. No unprescribed narcotics or alcohol. Surround yourself with similar people. I know of almost nobody who's truly happy and who does these things. And most of those I know who don't are happy with their lives. Realize you control your fate more than you think. Stop being hateful, jealous, and angry. Life is unfair. I am disabled. It sucks and sometimes you feel down. But it's life, and it's on me to make the best of what I have. And it feels amazing knowing I can control that much. Be honest with yourself but seek improvement instead of getting frustrated or overly critical. Stop comparing oneself to others. If you're not happy with yourself, fix it in whatever way you can, because getting upset accomplishes nothing. And if there is nothing more you can do, you've achieved greatness. Baby steps. Nothing great is done in a day. I spent a while in therapy, and wrote a lot of terrible poetry, to get this way but to stay this way. I write down 3 positive things a day, meditate for 20 minutes before bed, walk my dog, write a diary at least once a month to check in on anything that might be becoming an issue, avoid Facebook and Twitter and overhaul my Instagram, use Netflix and YouTube Premium and other ad-free services as much as possible because so many ads try to sell you things by making you feel bad about yourself, telling you their product is the only thing that can fix you. Have a note on my phone that I read every day that says things like I am beautiful and I am strong. Try to eat intuitively so I don't slip into chronic dieting again. Make sure I do one thing or work on one thing from my to-do list every single day, even if that thing is tiny, so it doesn't build up to an overwhelmingly long list. And if I feel myself slipping, I go to a website called Mood Juice. It has self-help CBT worksheets, which I find really helpful, but I had experience with CBT with a therapist before I ever went on the Mood Juice website, so I'm not sure whether it would be super helpful to someone without that experience. It was hard at first and it took experimenting to find which things worked for me and trying out other things that weren't helpful at all, but these things have become such a routine for me now, like brushing my teeth and making sure I drink enough water, that I haven't been on the Mood Juice website in a few years and have been off antidepressants for over a year. Edit to add, I also don't drink alcohol or do drugs. That's because I have a physical health problem and I can't mix alcohol with my prescribed medication, but it probably helped my mental health too. Also, I cut some toxic people out of my life. But reading this back, realizing how much I do to keep my mental health good, maybe I'm not as mentally stable as I thought. Beer. Always keep going, no matter what's happening. Sort of similar, but my trick is to always have something to look forward to. If I just get through these 3 days, I'm going skiing. Or, alright, at the end of the month I'm flying home to visit family. I always have something planned to look forward to, and if I don't, I make a new plan. I'm just a poser. Honestly, it's a lack of ambition. I don't really care about the things I will have in the future, and I am content with a mediocre apartment and having enough money to not starve. My only goal is to find a part-time job I don't hate that pays the bills. It sounds very pathetic, but I'm happy and I like living this way. Optimize, monsieur. I always reflect on the less fortunate and tell myself it can always be worse. I've been to other parts of the world and seen others struggle as I have struggled myself. Pets. I emotionally supported my girlfriend while she was depressed, and sometimes suicidal, for an entire year while doing my first year of law school. There are a few ways to keep yourself stable that worked for me. 1. Accept that you can't focus on everything at once. When I had to read 100 pages for law school, but my girlfriend was texting me about how much she was being taken advantage of at work, I would travel an hour to her place, talk her through it, and read the pages after things had settled down. 2. Self-discipline makes your life easier. In the example above, I traveled an hour to take care of my girlfriend right away. If I had waited until the next day or next week to check on her, despite being busy, then the issues would only have compounded. Conversely, I always tried to read ahead and be prepared more than a day in advance in case something came up. 3. Demonstrating calmness. Although people generally have the urge to freak out or get emotional when starts hitting the fan, I find accepting that being anxious or scared isn't going to help the situation. By hiding your fear and anxiety during stressful times and promoting an air of calm, those situations become less stressful, and in turn you eventually become able to handle more stressful situations. This was very important for my relationship. My girlfriend would constantly be worried about the future, her friends, her job, while I would be facing deadlines and other stress. However, by carrying that weight and not putting it on her, I was able to keep her stable and eventually found myself unshakable in difficult situations. Note that this is just my experience, and that now a year later my girlfriend has made an almost complete recovery and everything is much better. Don't overcommit to things in your life that will bring undue stress. It's okay to say no to people. In fact, not enough people these days are told no. They think they are entitled to your time and your attention. DND. Here are 3 things to keep in mind. If you've reached a bad ending, then the story isn't over yet. Humor is just horror with a punchline. You are only one character in a greater narrative. We all go through rough patches. Sometimes those patches cover a lot more ground than we might like, and sometimes the obstacles that we face come from within. Regardless of what's going on, though, you always have a choice about how to approach things. And unless you have been physically restrained, locked in a box, and dumped into an ocean on Europa, chances are that you have the ability to improve your lot in life, even if only by a little bit. The trouble is that we sometimes fixate on things that we shouldn't. If you were to go beachcombing, you'd probably be on the lookout for anything that caught your eye. If, however, you were specifically scouring the sand in search of a specific item, a solid gold figurine in the shape of Captain Picard, for instance, you might overlook some of the more interesting things that a less focused person might find. Life often works in a similar fashion. We get hung up on one specific goal or outcome, which means that we overlook opportunities which might have benefited us. Relationships end, people get fired, and idiots make life difficult for everyone. But if you assume that you're looking at a mid-chapter twist rather than a conclusion, and if you can learn to approach situations with an eye toward finding the humor in them, you'll discover that there's rarely any reason to stay upset. In short, you can't control how people behave. You can't control what the universe will throw at you. Sometimes you can't even control the ways that you'll react to various stimuli, be they internal or external. What you can control is how you view all of those things. If you stay conscious of both your own internal workings and the possibilities around you, you almost always see a route onward and upward. TLDR, remember that you are, like everyone else, the main character in your own adventure.